So why functions? So every programming language has this feature. They allow you to write a function because some things we need often, like square root, sine, cos. So you don't want to write code for given x. You don't want to write this bunch of codes for computing these functions. Okay, so you write one function and call the way we do in math. No? So sine of x, cos of x. So we can also have like sum of numbers of a list. That's a function. So you can write your own function, or I mean, there are some system people have already written some functions, but you can write your own. So it avoids repetition of codes. The code becomes smaller and readable with functions. It also helps modularize complex problems into smaller tasks. So once you write this function, which could be pretty complex, then you don't need to worry about the main code. Just worry about the function. Or two students can be asked to do. One guy can be do square root function, other one is do a cos function. And once I write it, I can use that in my large code as a library or as a function. Okay, so it's this called modularization. So you do one piece and somebody else does another piece, or you do both, two pieces but separately. Okay, so that's called modular design. Different functions can be kept in different files, so it's very useful because sometimes you make a change in one file. Then it may, I mean, you by accident you may delete some word or put some space. Then the whole file may be a problem. You don't know where the problem is, where is the error. But if it is if you made changes only one small file, then you can just say, well, I made changes here, and so I can go back and search for the error. For large codes, it's very important to do this in discipline. I mean, basically, with very carefully. You require a lot of discipline, and modification of programs becomes easier with functions. As I said, there are many functions. So if there's error in one function, I can go look at that particular file or look at that function. I don't need to worry about other programs. Okay. So in Python, how is it function? How is a function defined? This is function f. It takes a parameter. Okay. So this para x, and it returns an output. So it returns a result. So in fact, we write this def. So def is short form from definition, and f is the name of the function, and x is the argument of the function. Okay, so this is my def fx. Typically, this thing will look like this. So def, so factorial. I want to write a factorial function. So factorial will be name of the function. N is argument, which is there in small brackets, and we need to put a colon at the end. Okay, and there's a body of the function, and then there's a return statement. Okay, and the answer is, I mean, you can call that function by this factorial bracket. You can put your parameter number, and it will give you a result. Okay. So let me show you how it works. So you need to have a return statement most of the time. Sometimes you don't need it. Like, for example, I'm printing in a function, I don't really return a result, then you don't need a return. So we'll do a factorial function. So I wrote this in a file, factorial for .py. So def, name of the function, and this is an argument, n. Okay, and this is within small brackets, and the colon. Now I define a variable fact equal to 1. Okay, so this is called variable inside the function. Now for I in range 2 to n plus 1. Okay, so it goes from what is the range of I? Starts from 2 and it goes all the way up to n. And in the loop, I say fact equal to fact star I. So this loop is going on. I mean, everybody understands this loop. So fact is 1. Next time it becomes 1 into 2 because I takes value 2. So fact is 2. Next time I becomes 3, so 2 times 3, and it goes on until we have last one number is n, I becomes n. So you see that fact is the factorial, okay, is the answer. So you return fact. Okay, so this is a function. So when I just say factorial 8, I call it from IPython, and then it will return an answer 40320. Please don't forget this colon. Colon is important. Okay. One more point: you can return more than one answer. You put comma. If there, for example, I could be returning sin x and cos x together. So you say return sin x, sin value, cos value. Okay, so you can return two of them. So you'll put comma and it'll give two answers. Not comma. You'll just put two numbers. So no comma. Okay. So you see, it's reusable. I can use it for some other integer 9. Then I get a factorial 9. Okay. So it's very convenient. Once you write the function, you can forget about it. You can compute it for any valid parameters. Okay, I'm going to come to that in more detail, but please note that the two variables inside the function, fact and I, these are local variables to the function factorial. They cannot be called outside. Okay, for example, here, if I say print fact, it will give error. Fact is not visible outside this function. Okay, so fact is not a global variable, it's inside the function, so it has no existence outside. So we can do another example, summing the digits of a number. Number is an integer. Okay, so we just take an integer. So this is not required. NumPy is this is not required for this function. I had put it just like that. So def sum digits bracket n. Okay, so this is name of the function, and n is the integer. N is a parameter, which is an integer. Now, please look at the power of Python. So I take n. So right hand side, there are two functions. str. What will str do? str will convert this integer into a string. So if I have a string, let's say integer 125, then what will it do? strn will convert it to string, open quotes 125 quote close, right? That's a string. Actually, why I am doing this? Just to get this different digits. Okay, that's my idea. I want to get different digits. Then I can, after this string has been created, I can make a list. So I just say list. So string is one object. Now, once you say list, then it breaks it up into different characters. So this 125 becomes character 1, character 2, character 5. So yes, the list consists of 3 characters and they are digits. So I create a new variable my sum equal to 0. Then for k in digits n, okay, so this is a list. So now I go to each digit, but they are characters right now. So I need to convert that to integer int and keep adding. So plus equal to is a short form for what? So this statement is equivalent to my sum equal to my sum plus int k. Okay, so a short form, I don't need to repeat that my sum. So my sum plus equal to int k means just add int k to my sum and do in a loop. So int k converts that character into an integer. And so my answer is here now, my sum, and it returns. So this function will give me the sum. Okay, let's see how it works. So sum digit 456. So 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 6 is 15. And indeed, this function gives that. By the way, I must say that there are many ways to write this function. There's not one way to write the function. You can do innovations. Okay, so you can take this code and try to modify. For example, put int here, see what happens. Okay, you can make an array of this. Then you don't need to do this. Okay, you put array here, don't put int. Just put array here. It will convert. No, array will not work. So you need to probably put an int. So just try it. Some of it I really don't know myself. I need to play around with it. Okay. So what will int do to a character list? Maybe it convert. It probably will convert to integer. So try it out. We can make things shorter. I wrote one version, and it can be better. Now passing functions as argument. Okay, so right now what did I pass? I passed integer as argument. You can similarly pass a float as an argument, but you can also pass functions as argument. This is slightly maybe if you're not used to it, is slightly surprising, but it's possible in Python. So we have def my square x, so it returns x squared, x star x. Okay. So by name itself, you can see it's my square x. Def my cube x is return x cube. Now, this is a trivial function, and just for illustration. Def func x comma f. So this is returning f comma x. So it evaluates f on x. Okay. Now, this f can be arbitrary. I'm not specifying what that f is. It can be some function. So, but it will work. So this function, this f is an object. It will replace that object by this function. So how do I call this? Func 2 comma my square. Okay. So instead of f, I just put this function is already defined my square. Now start computing. This function will start computing. So my square will take this 2 as argument. So it basically passes the control to this function my square. So it will take this x. You see, it come here. It's going to say my square x. So it's going to go here and compute. So answer is 4. Then the 4 will come here and return. So there are 2 returns. One is one return from here, which comes here, and then func will return 4. Okay. I can use the same function func for doing cube. To 2 comma my cube, answer is 8. Okay. Now this for illustration. So let's do slightly more complicated function. Well, not complicated. Another example. Lambda function. Okay. So I want to compute integral 0 to 1 x dx. It is very trivial, but okay. We can also make this a complicated function like sin x. So sin x 0 to 1 is not so trivial. No, I mean you need to with care. So first I need to define the function def fx return x. Okay. Don't forget the colon. Without colon, this function won't work. And this is a mistake everybody does in the beginning. Okay. So please don't forget this colon. So return x. So had it been sin x here, so I could put sin x. Now I'm going to use already defined function in Python. We'll cover it a bit later, but this for illustration. Okay. How to call a function. So function calling function. So that's a interesting thing I'm going to show you here. So scipy integrate. Okay. So this is a module, Python module. From that Python module, import quad. Quad is short form for quadrature to compute integral. Okay. So this is the function. What does it take? It takes a function f and takes the lower limit and upper limit. So this is it. So instead of x, basically you put f here. 0 to lower limit to upper limit f dx. Okay. It's a very general function. No, the quad is a very general function, but I need to provide what I want to integrate. So the integrand has to be provided. Is a function. Okay. Now this will print. So if I do this, I didn't put the answer, but you can get x squared by 2, 0 to 1 is half. Okay. Answer is half. Now, how many lines do I require? I require 4 lines, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do better. You don't need to write these 4 lines. You can do it in 2 lines. Okay. How do I do it? So two quad function, I'm going to send a nameless function. I do not want to give f, but give a function definition right away inside. So this is called lambda function or function without a name. Okay. So this function, this lambda is a reserved word. It's a key kind of, not a keyword, but yeah, it's a reserved word. So it takes x is the input. This input, first is input, and output is after colon. Okay. So right now is x. If you required sin x, then I just put sin x. Okay. So instead of writing 4 lines, I just read in 2 lines. Nameless function lambda. It just gives the argument and what does it return. So it returns x. So this is a nice feature of Python. It's called lambda function.